Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Like Queen Lisa, and today is Tuesday. So my buddy Satoshi Sean will be joining us. We've got Oklahomans just, that saying, you'd bitch if you got hung with a new rope. Well, there's people begging to be governed harder here. I don't quite understand it. So we're going to discuss that. And also, some good news. Governor DeSantis is looking at gold and silver, signing that in as legal tender in Florida. And Sean said apparently he's getting some pushback kind of from all different places. I'm not sure if we're going to talk about that over here or over on his channel. And also some positive news for Second Amendment rights for Oklahomans. We'll discuss that as well. So give us a like, share the video, and jump in the live chat. We'll be right back with Satoshi Sean right after this. Hey, Sean, good to have you.
Hey, good to be here.
Glad you are back and doing well.
Yeah, doing all right.
Doing all right.
How are you doing?
I'm very good. Yeah. I'm sick of the rain. And
yeah, it's been raining here too hard.
Yeah, ready for some actual summer. We were talking about it. We've barely used the pool, and it's just been crazy this year,
Mm-hmm.
Lots of storms this year.
Yeah, it's supposed to be getting a lot worse. There's weird weather stuff that's like a defy. And this is something we've talked about, how because of technology that's been in the hands of regular people, they're able to see that the Barack's the birth certificate was completely fake, because the regular layman's technology is caught up with 10, 20 years ago.
But even 9/11 stuff that came out this weekend, all the videos and the interviews that have now resurfaced that were hidden for so long.
Yeah.
700.
It's weird hearing people for that time. They're like, what are you, stupid? Of course, because I remember the time it was just, we're all in this fervor of, kill the Dixie Chicks and send them to Guatemala because they said the president was bad. It was a very weird time. Yes, let's give up our rights. Who cares what this Patriot Act is? It's it was very odd, and to just see this other side really show, because now we all know how manipulated we are by the media, but back then we still had some innocence. We thought, we weren't as critical of those institutions back then. So it is another kind of wake up call to see how different things are now.
Well, and that's kind of my first little story was, not everyone's still seeing it. There's still these biases of so ingrained of wanting to hate that one side or the other, that you will even self-destruct.
Yeah.
Just be against the other side, even if it's good for you. And that was kind of the govern me harder comment that I had. There in Oklahoma, there have been, and I kind of looked back at the history a little bit in this. Right now, there's this big issue where they're all mad at Governor Stitt, who's very conservative, constitutional governor. He did great things for supporting our constitutional rights during the Great Infection and trying to protect we the people. And there's some other things going on. But right now, he is is vetoing this House Bill 1030, which is threatening to eliminate the State Board of Cosmetology. And there's been some people injured there. And I guess his point is that he had made some statements about this has been just too messy, and you guys need to clean this thing up. And they were saying that the governor's veto potential dismantling the board are speaking out. And so in Governor Stitt's veto message, he said the board is a state agency that by now should be restructured or consolidated under a more appropriate umbrella. He added, until the board becomes more transparent and responsive and aligned with the needs of today's workforce, its continued existence should not be taken for granted. And so that was his reasoning for, like, you guys are doing a shitty job. People are getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So this needs to be shut down. And to make sure
that's interesting is like what he's saying is what Vivek said. He's like, you gotta shut down the FBI. And he was talking about shutting down or consolidating these agencies, and people will be like, they were like, but how can you do that? Because this is needed. He goes, well, do you think they're doing their job now?
Right.
And everyone was like, well, no. Well, if they're not doing their job, then what's the point? They need to be restructured.
Right.
Somewhere where there'll be these actions or these tasks will be performed better. And it's very interesting that he got no part of this administration when those are the things that he wanted to do. And then you get all of a sudden Kash Patel is like, oh, yeah, Epstein definitely killed himself here. And Bongino's, yes, he was silly. He was so, yes, it is very silly for you to say that he did not kill
God. It was
I've seen everything, and I know that now that he killed himself. It was bad. I had no idea how bad it was. I hadn't seen it when you were talking about it.
Yeah, it was really bad acting.
But the guy that wanted to just get rid of it, he is not in anywhere to be
not in the club.
Yeah, they didn't put him in anything.
But that's what I'm saying, like, to your point earlier of, like, there's this into our whole discussion, of, do we hate so much the other side and about winning a side instead of coming together under a guise of this structure, this old guard is no longer serving we the people. Tear it down, break it, build something new, or build a parallel, and start
to understand that. They don't understand what you're saying.
In the meantime, take personal responsibility for ourselves instead of just saying, like, oh, this didn't work, this isn't working, and oh, I'm a victim and I'm going to sue somebody, and you know what I mean, all this blame game. And because then they're all up in arms and saying, well, people are going to get hurt, and all this. Well, no, do your before you.
People don't understand that anymore, though. They've changed. Their mindset has been changed to where they only understand us versus them. They don't. I know this woman. She's the sweetest woman, and she posted this post, and people gave her some shit. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to give her some shit. She said, I think a guy that wears a helmet and fights for our country should make more money than a guy who wears a helmet and defends a football. And when you think about it, that's fucking stupid. So I said, you know what? It's very odd, especially for you to post this. I said, everything is like us versus them. We can't say, hey, man, we have the best military in the world. They should be paid accordingly. They should be paid more than any other military. They're the biggest military. We do more than any other military in the world. Our military should be paid more than any other military. But instead, you've got to go after someone else and say, look at the victim. Our military is a victim. They're not getting paid as much as this guy who's a freak of nature, who, is not a normal person, has had tons of training, didn't just have a basic training. They've had years of training, had to go up through multiple schools, college, high school, junior, and they're also just not normal. If you're in the NFL, you're not a normal.
Also a huge marketing. It's a corporation.
Right, you have tons of. I mean, the individual, the guy wearing the helmet, has tons of talent, and they're also not like everyone else. So to say that they deserve as much as someone to get paid, someone else needs to get paid as much as them is silly. Also, they don't make as much money as, I mean, they like you said with the marketing and
Hmm.
everything, they make tons of money for that company. Um, it's just odd, but the whole post was like, it's easy to get behind, yay the military, they're and I was like, if you look at what they do, one's more honorable, one is more, you know, it's like better.
Yeah, her heart was in the right place, but the point was,
But that's the whole
yeah,
way we're made to think now.
yeah,
It's look at the victim, look at the
yes,
it's just a weird way of thinking, and it was such like a smack in the face. Like, why can't you just say, man, our military deserves to be paid more? They do. They're like the biggest. They're the best. They're the most well equipped, but they also do more than any other military. Where in all these other countries doing stuff, like that's one thing that Trump came in. He's like, hey, you guys got to pay us. We're
yeah.
keeping the peace for you. We're defending you. We're doing all this. We don't mind. You're our friends, but you've got to pay for it. You know, if not, just make your own military, Canada or whoever. You know,
But that's where the point that you're hitting on is exactly what Trump ended with his his EO on, or was it a presidential action where he's ending DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is that victim mentality. Oh, feel sorry for them. They get to have, they don't have to be equal. It's that victim mentality.
I think that's more the personal responsibility.
Well,
It's like
versus
if you want that job, you've got to go work for it.
earn it,
Yeah,
merit.
you got to earn it.
And those are the opposites, DEI versus merit. And as of May 21st, DEI is no longer tolerated in this country. And we are on now a merit-based system. And so if you want something, then earn it,
Yeah.
work for it, and we will be proud of you
And
and celebrate
that's
you.
the thing that we always go back to is there's already, which we were talking before the show about, which we want to go over, but there's already laws on the books for stuff.
You're right.
Like if you should have earned a position and you don't get it for whatever the opposite of DEI, discrimination, then that's discrimination. That's against the law.
Hmm.
So it's not like you need, it's almost like people have gotten what they want by being a victim versus getting what they want by being the best for it. And if they don't get it, then you have a leg to stand on. You can say, hey, I should have got that position because, you know, you can call, they can, if it's, especially if it's government, you get called out. Why did you give it to this guy? He's your cousin, but why?
Hmm.
Did he deserve it? Well, this guy did have, a bunch more school and 10 years experience, and he was willing to take the position for 10% less. So why didn't you go with that guy? Well, I didn't like his suit. No, you didn't. That other guy was your cousin. You know what I mean? That's why
Right. Yeah.
you're fired. That's how it should be. Um, but I think the victim mentality is kind of, you know,
It's
turning
been
that around.
celebrated for way too long. I know they were last week. Starbucks demanded that their employees wear all black T-shirts and shorts or pants, and a lot of their employees who happen to be these DEI hires, who have been trained and empowered through this victim mentality, cried, "Oh, we're striking because they've taken away our individuality."
Mm-hmm.
And they're not letting us express ourselves because we're being forced to
Yeah.
wear a uniform. And I thought, I grew up having to wear uniforms to school and PE and choir and
Back
like,
in those days, we wore dumb uniforms too.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they were bad. We couldn't wearing a cool, black shirt and shorts or jeans. I mean, that was, and a lot of jobs that I did, waiting tables, that's normal to wear to be because you're part of the restaurant or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Like that's wake up, people. It's not about you. When you go work for someone, you become part of the company. You're
Mm-hmm.
representing the company when you're at work. So that's where it's pervasive, this self-centered victim mentality.
I did see that they were where they were like we're gonna strike, and
Yeah.
they're all complaining. I was like, what?
And then they walked
But
out and stood outside and shook
they
hands.
had the management was like, we understand your feelings, and we're not. And it's not like they're skilled workers.
No. And they'll be replaced by a robot. I mean,
Yeah,
within,
or anyone. I mean, that's something.
you know,
That's what people need as a wake up call, and that's whenever they get some kind of wake up call, like real world shit. Like, hey man, I can't afford to buy this or pay for that. The real world is biting me in the ass. What do I do? How do I handle it? They
mhm,
freak out. This whole generation's freaked out about that,
mhm.
and they don't get enough of it because they get coddled in every way on other levels. Like their managers, like, I understand your feelings. Where my manager would have been like, dude, put on the shirt and shorts or you're fired. That's I have a stack. I can't tell you how many times I heard, I got a stack of applications in my office, Sean. If you don't want to, I just go in there and grab one off the top. You know, my manager, Dominic, just bring, look at this.
Yeah.
This is from 2 weeks. There's like 50 applications there.
Hmm.
Okay, fine. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's wild. It's wild. It'll be interesting to see, yeah, how it all changes. So I think we're there though. And on the lines of that, not to get too off topic or anything, but I know they're changing like this new with Medicaid and the if they receive like, and I've seen a couple little, TikTok kind of things. I don't watch TikTok, but they forward them on X and stuff. And these people that look very healthy and capable, and they're complaining about having to have their food benefits, revoked, or having to work to receive, partial benefits or something like that. And like,
Yeah.
there's this one perfectly healthy looking lady that she has like 8 children or something, and she's walking around buying just crap. I mean, just
Mhm.
absolute crap for her children, and talking about her food benefits are going to go down and whatever. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what's happening? And then this other lady talking about, her Range Rover is going to have to be sold because she can't have so much assets, or she's going to lose her food benefits and her free housing. And I mean, so clearly some reform is needed. I'm glad to see that it's coming. I hope it's true. Um, but very entitled things happening. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was the new gun law in Oklahoma. You and I talk about 2A a lot and share a love for the Second Amendment. Um, and this passed in Oklahoma. Um, and it is, remember when the riots were happening, and I think it was in Louisiana, there was some kind of representative or something when a crowd had like busted in a gated community, and uh, that guy went outside with his wife and they were holding their guns.
Mm-hmm.
They're just standing on their property, but they did have guns and they were holding them. And there was a conversation around like, is that brandishing or is it? And I always thought it was when you were pointing it at someone um, to make them feel threatened. Because if you're just holding it, um, a, a gun or an arm is an extension of your arm. As long as you're not threatening someone, you're just carrying your arm. And so I thought this was encouraging to me that this Oklahoma's latest gun law, um, it actually is House Bill 28, let's see, 2818. Um, and it makes it very clear. It gets rid of the gray, pulls it into the black and white. It says that it removes punishments and fines for a scenario where, let's say, a bad guy comes onto your property and you were able to keep him immobile, let's say on the ground at gunpoint. You technically be brandishing a firearm. But now, while the odds are low, you'd be a victim in this scenario, you'd be charged with brandishing. They aren't zero. So this relaxes and basically removes the punishments and fines for that scenario if it were to happen on your property or inside your business, not a business that you own, but a place in which you work. So
That's an interesting question.
I wondered what your thoughts were on this.
Well, okay, so that is very interesting because remember during the riots, the Rodney King riots, the Korean shop owners,
Mm-hmm.
they made it through the riots because they came together and they all were armed. They were on the roofs. They were in front of their stores. Rioters just walked by. They were all brandishing weapons. Those people, pink shirt guy and his wife, they were brandishing weapons. But to me, once again, it's the government versus the people. So any security guard, any security is brandishing a weapon. When you go through the airport and there's security walking around holding a rifle, they're brandishing a weapon. So that should all be illegal to me, unless it's your property. If it's my property and I want to defend my property, I can brandish a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was kind of my understanding. Brandishing a weapon is if you're at 7-Eleven and then you show your gun.
Right. This is
even
only
if you don't pull it out. If you just feel like be like, hey, do what I say, and then just show it. That counts.
That is threatening. Yeah. Because this is only talking about on your own property or where you work. So it's not talking
anywhere
about
you can stand your ground. I would think would be it shouldn't be illegal, right? Unless you have to kill someone. You're literally forcing you. It's like, hey, I can defend myself and shoot them, or I can brandish my weapon and de-escalate the situation to where I don't have to shoot someone.
See, but that's where, like, with at least in back before, which we've always had constitutional carry, that's a whole nother argument you could have because the Constitution never went away. So that you could always have that argument. But when I did go to conceal carry class, when I was very first getting into carrying and protecting myself that way, and learning about my 2A rights and all that, and training, we went to a class, and it was with a state capitol. I don't know if he was sheriff or I'm not sure what his designation was, but his thing was to be that if you never use it, you never pull it out, you never it wants you want to be the quietest guy in the room. You don't want anyone to even know you have it. But God forbid if you ever have to pull it out, or if they even know you have it or you show it, you better intend to use it.
Yeah, you have to be ready.
And it's not you're going to shoot somebody in a kneecap so you can get away. Like you have to feel the only reason you would ever pull it out, show it, is because you are in fear for your life or your property, and you need to use it.
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm walking downtown and 3 dudes walk up to me, hey, give me those shoes, and I'm fearing for my life.
Right.
You can pull out your gun and you say, no, I don't know you. Get away. It's my purse. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. They run. It's over. You can call police. You can make a report. You can walk away. But you should be allowed to defend yourself.
Yes.
And that's you're picking the level at which to defend yourself. If you put someone in a position where I can't, that's not on the table, I can't do that, I have to shoot someone, you're literally forcing someone to either be a victim In which case, if they take you down, they're going to find out you have a gun, take that. They could use it against you or just take it. Or you have to shoot them. It's just, I don't know, it seems like an overreach to me. I can understand just threatening somebody with a weapon for no reason. But if you're defending yourself, I think that falls under self-defense. In your property, that's a whole different thing. If I'm on my lawn, I mean, if there's a snake, if there's a rat, I could pull my gun. I would get a ticket for shooting it, because I would discharge a weapon inside the city limits. It's a misdemeanor. But I mean, if there was a giant rat in my yard, I would shoot it. Or a snake. It's a lot safer than trying to get it with a broom. There's a rattlesnake. We go get it with a broom, or call the government and ask the dog catcher to come out. People putting their lives at risk.
Relocated.
And honestly, they would just send a cop who would shoot it.
Yeah.
So now the government has more of a right to use a firearm on my property than I do. That's ass backwards, man.
Yeah, that would be wrong.
So it just seems like something they shouldn't even be bothering with.
Well, I really like. So what they're saying is, though, that it makes it very clear that you would not be on your property or at your place of work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially at your place of work, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You should, or your place of business. I mean, every pawn shop here, there's like a shotguns on the wall that say loaded, just so you have to cover all these bases if you want to try to rob this place. Or people have, they don't conceal carry. They never did. It's inside their own business. They had them out like, hey, you want to fuck with us? You want to try to rob us?
Right.
We're ready. So
a lot of pawn owners I know will open carry. And I think you're kind of stupid. Pawn shops, especially, of course, have guns. There's one place we go to in a little town in Arkansas, and he has like an entire wall. He says they're for sale, but they're all overpriced. And he's like, if you like it more than I do, then you can make me an offer. But it's mostly like his collection,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway. That's all I would consider brandishing.
Well, it's not in his hands.
Brandishing a firearm refers to the act of displaying or showing.
Oh, okay. So it could be even displaying.
In a threatening or aggressive manner, typically with the intent to intimidate or instill fear in another person, which is exactly that's the goal of open carrying or putting the shotgun on the wall with the, paper that says loaded.
So that's what this House Bill 8, I can't remember the number. Anyway, is basically removing that brandishing from being against the law.
Yeah, as long as the display is perceived as threatening, which I think that's the point, is to de-escalate something before it happens, or as a deterrent, Mm-hmm. That's why people put their,
there are no trespassing signs,
or their this house is protected by whatever ADT or whatever.
Yeah.
There's people that just buy the signs.
Yeah.
And put it out in the yard. That was like a thing for as long as I've been around.
We have a sign. I think Charlie has it in the garage or something, and it says we don't call 911, we use them.
Yeah, that's brandishing. To me, that's technically brandishing, right? I was thinking about those signs. Beware of dog. There's people who put those signs out there and have a dog, or they have like a chihuahua. Because it makes people. It's a deterrent. Yeah.
Vicious.
But if you had a sign, and if I'm breaking into garages or going into backyards, I'm not going to go into one that's a privacy fence with beware of dog. No, I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
There's no point. I'll go to your neighbor's house and take their copper or whatever the hell's in the yard to go get my, meth. I'm not going to risk it.
Oh, it's already 30 minutes. Real quick, before we jump over to your channel to talk about more DeSantis news and DeSantis making gold and silver legal tender in Florida. But what did you think about this talk of getting rid of the penny by 2026?
I've always thought that, because it hasn't made sense for a long time. And I remember when I used to use pennies when I was a kid, it was like, what? That's like a kid currency, don't mess with my money, man. But for the past, I don't know, 10 years, I haven't touched money, U.S. currency. So it's, for me, I think I have a unique view on it.
Okay.
It's like, you go and live in Europe for 5 years and come back. And especially say the last 5 years, it's a very different country, I thought it was fake money when I had nickels or in pennies. They don't weigh anything. It's all fake now. It's not.
Yeah, you're right. It's not. Pennies aren't even made out of copper anymore. They're zinc.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah.
But they're shinier now. They weigh nothing. Mm-hmm. They feel like plastic. I used to collect quarters, the state quarters, and then I just kind of gave up and just collect Texas quarters. But the quarters now, they don't weigh anything. It feels like, the shitty toys you get at the grocery store when you're a kid.
Yeah.
The plastic money, it literally, I bet some plastic money weighs more from like the 80s than real money now.
That's crazy to think
nickels, pennies, there's nothing. There's no weight. You could punch somebody with a roll of pennies in your hand and it will do nothing. It would probably make your fist not as hard. It is. My point is, I think they've been kind of working on that, and people haven't. I think people have got to the point where they don't care as much because it's not the same penny. Why get rid of it when they can just kind of slowly get rid of the Area 51 effect? It's like slowly make it happen to where people just don't care.
You need to coin that, or I don't know, would you copyright that because of the term, but it's like the Mandela effect or the is it called the Mandela effect or the butterfly effect that we've now seen? You need to call it the Area 51 effect because it just happened. They had the big announcements about the UFO hitting the Air Force plane during the parade this weekend, and everybody went, "Yeah, alien ship hit the Air Force parade." We all knew that, and I was like, "Oh, Sean called that."
That's the thing. They give you like little bits, and then when it happens, it goes back to the same thing. That govern me harder. People don't want to admit that they've been suckered. So it's like, oh yeah, they told us. Remember back then they said this, and
the guy nobody wants to be stupid, so they all want to go. Yeah, I knew that. I knew that.
The emperor's got no clothes. Yeah, no, everyone's like, oh, the emperor. Look at those. Yeah, those look good. Those are nice clothes. Yeah, I can see him. I'm not stupid.
They weren't tricking me.
Yeah,
they weren't fooling me.
That was the whole thing with the emperor's new clothes. Is because just tell people they're stupid if they can't see it, and everybody. That was something I did when I was a financial advisor. You had people that were the biggest assholes. People like, you can't get through to this guy. Like, yeah, you can. You just play on their ego. You're like, as I'm sure you would agree, John. You've got to put this money away. Yeah. And as you know, I mean, you know what an amortization is. Yeah, exactly. Well, just that's it. You just give them a little bit, and then they're agreeing with you. I mean, you're stupid if you don't do this. Absolutely, babe, you're stupid if we don't do this. It's like the oldest trick in the book, but that's what people do. It works.
It's crazy. It's a crazy time we're in. Well, let's jump over to your channel. I want to know all the stuff you were talking about with DeSantis and people going after him. I think the timing's really interesting with him.
Yeah, I think the timing is interesting. I didn't even really know about the gold and silver
I
stuff.
just saw it. I just saw it
Yeah.
right before we went on, so we can look at that, and then I want to hear what you're having to say about the other parts. So we'll jump over there. Thank you all for joining us in the live chat. If you're here now, please give us a like and share the video so we can get more information and have some more great discussion. Leave a comment below your thoughts about the people wanting to be governed harder. You know, let's take personal responsibility for ourselves. We don't need these structures. Let's build parallel systems and deal with each other peer to peer. I think we can do this better together, right? All right, I'll see you guys over on Sean's channel right now.